Capitalism didn't replace slavery and feudalism, it learned from them. The problem with the previous systems weren't their brutality, they were just fragile and inefficient. Slavery made exploitation too explicit. Not only did you have to provide food and housing, but maintaining the system required brute force, and people have this pesky drive for freedom. And feudalism limited your ability to expand your wealth. Your wealth was tied to land ownership, and you're always squabbling with other petty feudal lords, or worrying about your peasants dying in a plague. Capitalism learned from these flaws. Instead of owning people, it forces them to sell themselves. Instead of just owning land, it turns everything, including labor, into a commodity. Now, the ruling class can extract wealth without the burden of direct ownership. No need to feed your workers, just pay them enough to buy food from the grocery store you own. No need to maintain land and provide housing, just privatize everything and charge rent. No need for whips, just make survival dependent on a paycheck, and own the cops just in case. Capitalism is a masterpiece of plausible deniability. It doesn't directly enslave you, it just creates a world where the only alternative is starvation. It doesn't force you to work, it just makes the means of survival hidden behind a paywall. And unlike feudal lords or slave owners, capitalists can just pick up and leave and move production to another country when things get inconvenient, moving their factories overseas or shifting their wealth into offshore accounts while their workers starve domestically. Capitalism's greatest trick is convincing the people that they're free, while ensuring that they have no actual power. The entire system rests on a carefully maintained illusion of choice. You're free to work or not. But if you don't, you die. You're free to vote for the candidate the billionaires chose. You're free to speak out, protest with a permit. And if you ever start questioning why a small group of people have all of the wealth while everyone else does the work, capitalism will do one of three things. Distraction. Work people to exhaustion, make sure they can't think about anything else. Co-opt radical energy, whether through greenwashing with ethical or sustainable things, or using people like Bernie to take revolutionary energy and bring it back to the Democratic Party. Or there's straight up repression. If workers get too rebellious or students are too critical of the war machine, you bring out the National Guard, you sick the police on them, or internationally, a fun little CIA-backed coup. And that's where we get to where we are today. Wages are stagnant, but productivity is at an all-time high. Workers produce more than ever, and billionaires get all the profit. Housing is unaffordable because we cater to real estate developers and landlords who know they can make more money from your desperation. Education is a luxury because we only want the wealthy to be informed. Climate collapse is accelerating because short-term profit matters more than long-term survival, and they can probably make money from fixing the problems that they created. The thing you have to know is that capitalism isn't in crisis because it's not working. It's in crisis because it's working exactly as it should be. Capitalism wants you to think there's no escape. But history says otherwise. Every exploitative system was once unchallengeable until people burned it to the ground. The question here isn't if capitalism will fall. It's what are we gonna build in its place? The evil left, the Marxists and communists and socialists, think that exploitation here is the core problem. Instead of all of us working for a select few, why don't all of us work for each other?